Hello, beautiful alchemist. Welcome to Reiki Radio. I am your host, Yolanda. And as usual, we have an incredible conversation for you today. I got to sit down with a wonderful tarot reader and author. Her name is Janis King. And I will tell you all about her work and our conversation in just a moment. This is definitely looking at tarot in a different kind of way. But before we get into Janice and her work, I just want to remind you all that there are several upcoming events for people interested in Reiki, furthering your Reiki education, people who are interested in learning and going deeper into the Akashic records, all different types of offerings for our community to help you expand your understanding of energy work, your personal practice, and how to hold space more confidently as a practitioner. So you can learn more at thereikiclass.com. On that website, you will find that there are several practitioners, teachers, again, different modalities. You can connect with them, learn from them. But once you go to the website, if you scroll down on the home page, all towards the bottom, you will see the upcoming events being presented by different teachers and practitioners. Some of them are live events in person and some are held virtually. So if you have been looking for something new to study and explore, go to thereikiclass.com and see what is upcoming. Aside from that, there is quite a bit coming up in November that I want to make sure you mark your calendars for. So, those of you who are coming to join me for the Alchemy Circle in 2026, make sure that you activate your membership by November 5th. The reason is because even though the Alchemy Circle starts in January, we are starting with an online class called Intuitive Mastery, and that begins on November 5th. So if you are a member of the Alchemy Circle for 2026, you will have automatic enrollment into Intuitive Mastery, and you can join me for those live classes online. Also, if you aren't joining the Alchemy Circle but just want to take the class, you have that option as well. Just go to my website, theenergeticalchemist.com, and I am really looking forward to welcoming new members into the Alchemy Circle. I'm looking forward to working with you, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So, the last two events we have are some like a summit and a conference. We could call them both summits actually, but one I know you are very familiar with. This is the 10th annual Global Reiki Rays Healing Summit, which takes place November 7th through 11th. Now, how this works is if you go to my website, theenergeticalchemist.com, you will see where you can get the early bird special if you get your ticket for the summit now. However, if you don't get a ticket for the summit, you can watch. There will be free videos released November 7th through 11th each day, but you only have 24 hours to watch those videos as they are released. But because there are several each day, a lot of people just like to get the all access pass. That way you can watch at your own convenience all of the interviews and you have access to watch them all right away. So again, just go to theenergeticalchemist.com. You will see on the homepage where you can register for the summit. There are some incredible conversations that happened there this year. I was fortunate enough to co-host the summit again. So I look forward to you all getting to check that out. And when you register, even if you register for free for the summit, you will get access to 4 interviews right away for free. And mine is one of them. I was interviewed by the other co-host, Heather. So the last thing I want to make sure you put on your calendar and don't miss out. I'm very, very excited for this. The Reiki class website, we're having our first annual summit, and it's actually a masterclass weekend. So what this is mark your calendar for November 21st through the 23rd. That's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Over those 3 days, there will be 3 live master classes each day. and there are a variety of topics. So you will not only learn techniques to deepen your understanding and practice within the realm of Reiki, there are other topics as well. Teachings, these are actual classes, and you will be guided and receive live instruction. These classes are live. However, if you get your pass to the event, you have access to all of the recordings for all 9 classes. That's 9. And it's only $44 for the entire package. So we are very, very excited to share this with you. The classes will be facilitated by me and the hosts of Awakening Airwaves podcasts. So you can learn more about that on my website as well, theenergeticalchemist.com. It's on the homepage. You will see the masterclass weekend. Be sure to grab your ticket. I am so excited for all that we have to support you in your practice, as always. And by extension, of course, Reiki Radio is a part of that as well. Speaking of, last week, I offered a free community gathering where I hosted, I believe it was a Wednesday morning last week, where you all were invited to join me for free guided practice. We spent a little bit over an hour together doing some energy work and a guided journey. And again, it was free. So you do want to make sure that you are signed up for my newsletter so you don't miss out on any of these events. In fact, I am looking at my calendar and trying to figure out when I can offer another free event. In part, this was inspired by a lot of people are not working right now with the shutdown, but I know that all of us, regardless of what our jobs may or may not be, maybe just going through some hard times and could really appreciate working in community. So again, make sure you're on my newsletter so that you also get any notification of when there will be another free gathering. But if you want to do community work with me for an entire year, then sign up for the Alchemy Circle. So that is all that I wanted to make sure you have an awareness about. Like I said, there's a lot upcoming to support you in your practice, including today's conversation. So Janis King, she's been working with tarot professionally for 18 years, and she is the face of Tarot Reading London. On this well-respected site, she provides one-to-one readings, teaching, and counseling with tarot. She has read tarot on television and on radio, both in the UK and the United States, and she has read at events in the UK head offices for Nestle, Pepsi, and Monsoon. Janis studied spiritual mediumship. She studied trance mediumship at the Arthur Finley College in Stanstead and advanced mediumship at the College of Psychic Studies in London. She is passionate about bringing tarot into a more mainstream conversation about spirituality, one that moves beyond predictions. She believes tarot plays a vital role in areas such as personal empowerment, energy work, spiritual guidance, and manifestation. And she has a new book called Tarot, The Life Code, A Fool, a Magician, and The Secret of Life. Now, I have to tell you, in preparation for the episode, I'm just getting over being sick. I had an opportunity to read her book that is coming out, and I was so thoroughly impressed. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I have been a student of tarot for many years, and I enjoy tarot and oracle so much that I created my own deck. Many of you know this. However, when I read Janis's book, I was really drawn into the way that she sees tarot, the way that she defines the cards. And even more importantly, I personally, when I first got introduced to tarot, I was only really interested in the major arcana. I didn't really feel a resonance with the minor cards. They were, I don't know, they were just hard for me to feel a connection with. And it took some time for me to really build that relationship. Her way of describing the minors and what she calls the royals, which are the court cards, really opened up my understanding, my perspective, and made it very easy to resonate with these cards. So I think her book, Tarot, the Life Code, A Fool, a Magician, and The Secret of Life, is a great read for anyone who is interested in tarot, or if you have been reading for years. It just gives you another way of looking at it. Also, she has an actual tarot deck that goes with the book. So I was very excited after reading the book that I went looking for the tarot deck itself. I will say, for those of us in the United States, it is easier to order the book directly from, I'm sorry, not just the book, but the deck itself from her website. If you are in the UK, it may be easy for you to find the deck on Amazon. But in either case, her website is janisking.uk. You can learn more about her and her work right after this episode, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, beautiful alchemist, we are here today with Janis King, the author of Tarot, the Code of Life. And the subtitle of this is A Fool, a Magician, and the Secret of Life. And I can't wait for you to tell us more about this. First, I just want to thank you for taking time for the conversation today.
Ah, well, thank you, Yolanda. It's very lovely to speak to you, and thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
Yes, well, I'm excited for the conversation because before we were recording, I was telling you in my own interest of tarot when it came to be, I was very drawn into the major arcana. I think because I could follow the story. Like I really liked that it seemed that there was this relatable story with different aspects of what we may experience in life. But I had a really hard time connecting with the minors. Now, I will say before we get into your story and your work, in reading your book, if that was where I started, if that was my introduction to tarot, I would have had a completely different relationship and understanding of the entire system, but
Mm,
definitely would have had a different connection with the minors. So I just
yeah.
want to start by saying your work is incredible. And I was laughing in my mind when you describe laying the cards out on the floor and, putting the system together. It's like that had to be so exciting. So let's start with I want to know how you came into relationship with tarot before we deep dive into the code of life.
Yes. Um, Gosh, well, it was a long and circuitous route. And I almost like to put it that I was sort of recruited, but I was a very hard sell. So I was very reluctant. And it's a bit, when on the fool's journey where the fool refuses the call. Well, I refused the call
Yeah.
many times. Um, I mean, ultimately the thing that propelled me into tarot ultimately was, as with many people, a big life meltdown, where everything I had been doing this big energetic experiment where I had decided to put all of my sort of my calling abilities to the test.
Yeah.
I was starting a female record company at the time, so a female led record company called Angelic Music. And I was just, every day going in and just I had angelic music up on the wall, and I would go in, and every day I'd make a set request, and then I would get on with my work, and it just went like a forest fire. I was like, whoa, I'm so good at this. This is great. I've got this. And then 18 months, lots of things happened. I'm not going to go into all of that detail, but after 18 months, we were just that close to this huge, you know, peak of the mountain thing, and everything fell within 48 hours.
Wow.
Everything
Yeah.
fell. it was the tower. Everything just tumbled, not just professionally but personally as well. It was just it was like dominoes, you know. Just one thing fell, crack, crack, crack. Everything just hit the deck, and I was furiously angry with the energetic world. I mean, I felt like it had been like a big practical joke, and I was livid. And I thought, well, um, either this is just flat out cruel, or it's just fake.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fake. It's just a lie. The whole thing's been a lie. And I continued to meditate. I've always meditated for many years, and I continued. But the thing that I couldn't do is speak to my guides. I could not reach them. It was like, oh my God, it's like being on energetic hall waiting. There was just nothing there. Crickets. I thought, well, people have guides. Well, have mine. They're obviously nowhere to be seen. They've run away and hidden somewhere. So I was really frustrated. And then one day I was meditating again, trying to make contact with my guides, get some damn answers. And a little boy ran out of these woods in this meditation and sat next to me on a bench seat so clearly that I would recognize him if I saw him in the street. I remember him to this day in such vivid detail. And he sat there and his legs were kicking. He was about 8 years old, so full of energy. And I sort of looked at him and I said, "Oh, are you a guide?" And he just shook his head and he handed me a white stone egg. And in the white stone egg was carved a very simple but rather beautiful, curled up bird with closed eyes, and its beak came round. And I said, "Oh, it's a white dove." And he just nodded furiously and ran away. I had no idea what that was about. Crickets again for the next maybe month or a few weeks, I can't remember. But then I was wandering in Camden Market, and there was a shop in Camden Market called Rainbow Visions, and in the window had this big sign, tarot readings. So I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I just get a tarot reading, right? Because I'm completely in the weeds here. I have no idea what's going on. So I went in, and there was a man out back with sort of white robes and long white hair, full on sort of hippie Jesus type. And then there was a guy on the front desk, and I walked in and I said, I'd like to inquire about a tarot reading, please. And he said, well, yes, you'll need to speak to White Dove. Okay. I probably do then need to speak to White Dove. And basically, White Dove told me that my life was being taken apart and put back together in response to the request I had made. And the request that I had been making for the last 2 years, it started off with, give me what I need to make everything all right, because we were struggling financially. My marriage was, husband had problems with bipolar, and I was building this business to try and keep everything together and try and make it okay.
Right.
And as I went through, I sort of shortened it to just give me what I need, which he said opened Pandora's box, because what I did was I just opened the door and said, okay, come in, just do what you must. Give me what I need, right?
Yeah.
And so he said, you're in the middle. He said, I've never seen anything like a reading like this. He said, you're basically in the middle of a massive karmic storm, and you're being moved to a new path. And it's going to be at least 3 years, and it's going to be really, really hard. But you're going to be moved to a new path. And I said, I refuse. This is not what I asked for. I refuse. I withdraw it. I just make it stop. It's not going to happen. I'm just not going to play ball. I want my path back. I want my life, but all right.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no, that ship has sailed. We are where we are. And I said, what new path? And he said, well, that's not for you to know right now. You'll get there. You're not ready to hear that yet. You will find your way. There'll be angels either side of you, both energetic and human, and they will help you get there. And so Yeah. Oh, and he also said, and by the way, your husband has unconditional love for you. Park that. It's
Yes.
not of interest at the moment, but it will be.
It's so
So,
interesting, Janice, that just the idea of, you know, it comes to mind, be careful what you ask for. Um,
mm,
but also, in a way, I guess hindsight, I'm curious, are you glad that you initiated that? Even though at the time it may have seemed like just so devastating, but where you sit now, does it make sense why you went through what you went through?
all of these things do make sense in
Yeah.
retrospect. And certainly where I was, I mean, what I was trying to achieve, to be honest with you, I stand by what I was trying to achieve.
Mhm.
And, I would have liked the opportunity to have made that successful. But where I was and the ground I was standing on at that point, I don't think I could have actually, you know, had the ground zero to have really pushed that through, um, because of where I was in
Right.
myself, and that's important. So I was really pushing it uphill with both hands and all of my strength, and I had nothing left to give. So you know, it was a trial. Um, I'm still proud of what I achieved to the
Right.
point it wasn't my fault it fell. I mean, it was somebody else. Unfortunately, I'm not going to go into those details, but
Yeah.
um, it was taken out of my hands. So I'm still proud of what I achieved within that context. That was interesting, but I mean, I've come such a long way since and seen so many miracles. Really, that it's been fascinating.
Well, has it been essentially, I'm just assuming because of the name of your record label, what it was it a way of sharing communication of spirit? The reason I'm asking is the way it's coming through is like, okay, well, if you ultimately were meant to be almost like this conduit of communicating spirit in some way in through this realm. And even if it wasn't necessarily going to be forever through the lane of music, it's interesting that you're still a communicator. Like you're still this
Yeah.
is there a similarity between, you know, like the overarching idea of what you're trying to do and what it is you're doing now?
There has always been a theme, for
Yeah.
sure. And yeah, and so calling it angelic music was because it was pure of intent and powered by what I considered to be angelic energy. So I had made it an energetic project,
Yes.
and I wanted that to be powered by angelic energy in its not angels with fluffy wings, but
Yeah.
actual angelic energy. And so yes, and the idea is that the moniker the little label had was not the next pop princess. So we were looking for women who were writing from their heart, their truth, not age dependent, people who had real talent, something to actually say.
Right.
And I really was very passionate about that and giving those women a voice. So I really wanted that was quite important to
Yeah.
me. I felt very strongly about that. And that was not, unfortunately, a path that I was able to walk,
Well, it's
to where I wanted to take it. But yeah, you know, it was certainly connected into the same energetic fuel.
right. Well, now here you are giving tarot a different kind of voice. So yeah, it's just interesting from reading what you just shared in the book, but hearing you say it, I'm like, wow, there really is this kind of parallel, this similarity between the paths. But this is a beautiful segue too into your way of seeing and understanding tarot. So you have this meditation. A little boy comes, gives you the egg, you see the white dove, then you literally in your life go to the store, have a tarot reading with someone who's named White Dove. Even though you were frustrated with what the reading was, had you at that point already been familiar with tarot? Did you have any interest in it? And did that reading make you curious or deepen your curiosity about tarot?
Yes, it did. I did have a slight entrance in because my aunt, my mother's sister, used to read playing cards when we were young. So she did catamancy. She was very psychic and really powerful, but unregulated in her practice. And when I was in my 20s, my mother took me to a spiritualist church where we did some psychometry. I think my mother volunteered me, and I was given this woman's ring. I had no idea what was going on, and just asked, "Well, what do you see?" And we had to stand up and just say what we saw. I was like, "Whoa, what is this? What's going on?" And I said a whole load of stuff, and somebody came up to me and went, "Okay, well, you need to go into development." And I just went, "No, dead people, ew. I don't want a life full of dead people. I'm going to be a musician." Ha ha. So I refused the call then, and continued to. I was fascinated with psychology and the brain, so I I got given by a singing teacher. I got given a cassette tape which had, and I had no idea what it was. She just said, "You just need this." I just call it the stuff. The term manifestation hadn't even been coined at the time. And she said, "Just put it in, do what it says, end of." Okay. So I did. And I took to it like a duck to water. And it was this pink bubble manifestation technique. And things started to happen. I thought, whoa, what is this? This is incredible. But I couldn't make anything stick. Mm-hmm. And I was fascinated with, well, what is happening here? How much control do we have? And so I can conjure up a thing and make a thing happen, but then it's really short-lived and I can't make it grow. Why? And I realized that I was the common factor in this. And so it's okay, how much control do I have over my wretched subconscious mind, which just scuppers me at any turn? And so I decided to study hypnotherapy to see if that was the route. And, can we do it literally by blunt force action? Can we just persuade our subconscious mind that, to do it differently? And it turns out it's a complicated recipe. Mm-hmm. It really is. And so it's been an exploration. And yes, I had, and I don't know why, but when I saw the Cyan Tarot reading, in the back of my mind was, I had thought about that briefly a couple of weeks ago, and it wasn't one of those things where you go, "Oh yes, I've been planning." It had just like filtered in somehow. Mm-hmm. The idea of tarot, but I hadn't really engaged with it, only because of the cards. My aunt read cards and there was a familiarity, but it wasn't something that I felt that I was at that point drawn to at all. Right. Because again, don't want to do that. I want my own path. I don't want to join the family trope.
Yes. But it's interesting hearing you describe having this desire of wanting to know how to consciously choose the design of your own life. And yes, we can call it manifestation, but it seemed like you were very interested in, how does this really work? How do I have actual influence on what it is that is unfolding in my life? And it makes so much sense, again, after reading your book and this relationship to tarot and how you see it and how you teach it and how you describe it. So with that, for people, a lot of people that listen to this podcast are familiar with tarot, but whether someone is familiar or not, if they ask you, what is tarot for? From your lens and the way that you teach this, what's really the purpose of tarot for us? Or how can it be used?
Yes. So tarot, I think, is multifunctioned. I see tarot in and of itself as a communication from spirit. Mm-hmm. And most people see tarot as sort of the other way around, in that we are using tarot, and we are using tarot to speak to spirit, but I think we haven't explored it as a message the other way around. So I think tarot is a system that gives us a map of the mechanism of how to do life.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, the one thing I didn't quite touch on before the thing happened with White Dove, I had one of those, and I don't know whether you've had one, probably not, but I've had a few. The meltdown moment in the car, where you're sat in the car and you're just ranting at God, just
Oh, yes.
properly, you know.
Yeah. That happened in my apartment. When I read it, I was like, oh, this is exactly what, yes.
Yeah. So we have the how dare you? What are you doing? This
Yeah.
isn't fair. And I, in that particular rant, I detailed my dissatisfaction with the way we learn. So what are we, toddlers who just get a slap every time we get it wrong,
Right.
which is a shitty way to parent.
Yeah.
And I said, this is really unfair. So if this is how it's done, I demand a rethink. And I said out loud, why can't we have a map? Why is there not like an instruction manual for life? I don't understand. It's so frustrating that there's no rule book. How do we do this?
Yeah.
And so I said, why can't we have a map? And what was interesting was when the life code laid itself out, and I got further and further into it, I realized that's exactly what it was. And maybe this was all powered in a way. And I've tracked it back, Yolanda. So the question is, did it come back to that moment? Was that what powered it? Or was what led up to that moment me giving voice to what I should have been asking, what I was asking for all along? And I was being led to the moment where I just vocalized it. So I recognized it when it appeared.
Yes. Yeah.
And it did cross my mind that maybe, in fact, this whole journey was what it's all been for.
Mm.
So,
Wow. Okay. So I want to go into this piece of it too before we deep dive into the way that you do teach and talking about um, the magician and the fool in the big scheme of this journey. I just want to point out so people know you did at some point study and you became a spiritual and trance medium. And so you really did, I want to say, put in the work to clarify communication between you and the spirit realm. And a lot of people are intimidated by, tarot because they think, oh, do I have to be psychic in order to translate the cards, the imagery, the energy, whatever it is? So just curious, your point of view for anyone who is curious about, can I work with the cards, whether or not I'm
yes,
psychic? Yeah. What is
yes,
your
yes.
take?
Oh, absolutely. I have a very strong opinion on this. Tarot has its own connection system. Look, we all can connect. We all do connect 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We are connecting whether or not we know it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to call it psychic. We are just energetically plugged in. We are creating our life with our vision and our subconscious stuff, and that whole ball of wool is creating the life on the path ahead of us, whether we like it or not. That is, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your point of view,
Right.
what is happening. So therefore, we are already plugged in. Now, some people, okay, are naturally, like a radio, tuned in at a higher and more finely crafted level.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that everybody doesn't have that in them anyway. And tarot connects us in, and it even tells us how it connects us. So when you sit down and pay attention to the cards with some knowledge, because I do have some issue, and please don't rant at me, hive mind, when I say this, but I do have issue with people that say, just pick a card and just let your intuition guide you. Well, you know what? That is a little bit of a dangerous game to play, because our fear and what we already know and our brains just try and make sense of it based on everything we already have inside us.
Mm-hmm.
So when we can step out of that and we bring a little bit of knowledge to the card, and we just allow that, what we know about the card, to come up at us, and our subconscious connects in, and that is like a three-way system, right? And when that happens, we start to understand. And it's a sweet little process. It's subtle. It's
Mm-hmm.
really subtle, but it connects us in. You don't have to be psychic. All you have to do is you have to allow the pictures and some knowledge of what the card is intention is for you, for the message, some knowledge of that to guide you, keep you on the straight and narrow with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then that, I think, is important, because I've seen online so many times people take a card, like the Ten of Swords, for instance, which is a difficult card,
Mm-hmm.
and apply what they think is a positive message to it, and completely miss the point the card is trying to make.
Yeah.
In their desire not to be negative or not to be scary, or you don't have to do that. You don't have to go into the hard messages. You don't have to really, of course you do.
Yes.
You do. You
Yeah.
must. You must be brave in life. And this whole system connects you in. And you don't have to be psychic. You have to just be open-minded.
Yes.
When
Yeah.
you're open-minded, your mind doesn't get in the way. But it's not just about intuitive or trying to guess. Or it's not about that. It's a bit more subtle than that.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying, Janice, because I think it also points out, I always say, we never know how something is meant to help us. And even if it's uncomfortable, if we could at least have a little inkling in the background, like if this is potentially meant to help me, give me a message, something to support me, even if it
Yes.
is uncomfortable, okay, well, then how do I handle it? Just, okay, fine. How do I handle this? So, with this blend of what you were going through, you were trying to be very intentional in your conscious creation, that you get frustrated with, the spirit realm, like, what in the heck is going on? I want to do over. I want my life back. How do we create life? Where's the map? And then tarot starts revealing to you. So again, your book, The Life Code, has that subtitle of A Fool, a Magician, and the Secret of Life. So could you talk a little bit about, I would love for you to get into, one, your view of the relationship between the majors and the minor and the royals. But first, why are the Fool and the Magician the standouts, and how are they some aspect of us?
Yes. So this is all about energy.
Mhm.
Everything is about energy. I mean, that's the tagline of the deck. Everything is energy. And the Fool and the Magician, for me, are two sides of the same coin. So they are us. The Fool is too often seen as an abstract concept, right?
Mhm.
But they're not abstract. Nothing about tarot is abstract. It's all real life. And when we look at the Fool and the Magician as us, we look at them energetically, because this is where it makes real life proper sense in the real world. So the Fool is 0 and also 22. So he is everything and nothing,
Mhm.
all at the same time. So he is the sum of all potential. So we can see him as the repository of the four aces. So in a traditional deck, he carries those four, what we call the four gifts of God. He carries them in a little rucksack, a little knotted handkerchief. Well, so I didn't really like that, because that's, in a way, that's kind of too intentional, right?
Mhm.
So I think if we look at ourselves and we see us as the fool, we have everything within us. We're not carrying it in a knotted handkerchief over our shoulder. It's already there. When we're born, we have everything that we are already encoded within us.
Yes.
And so that then becomes the definition of potential energy, which is energy which is not affected by its environment. It is in and of itself, and it just exists at the moment. At that point where it is potential, it is just potential.
Right.
And then if we look at potential energy, we know that we can't destroy energy, we can only change it. Potential energy becomes kinetic energy when it's energy in motion, and it's energy that is now affected by its environment. And this is physics.
Right.
It's not sort of hypothetical.
Yes.
So this is what the magician is. This is what he represents. His job is to decide. He unpacks all of the potential and he goes, okay, let me have a look at this potential. Now I'm going to decide which am I going to bring to life. I'm going to master whichever potentials I decide I'm going to bring to life. And he does that by being an energetic conduit. So as above, so below. So he's channeling energy to make it manifest in real life. He's channeling the potential, he's channeling his power, and he's making those potentials real to his design. And of course, that's really hard because they are now at the mercy of their environment. And now he's got that to contend with as well. So the magician must not only master the potentials, but he has to master the physical world in relation to what he's trying to make happen. That's us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow. Okay. And so I think this is a really great starting point because you also talk about this, how we become creative with life energy. So again, it keeps pointing back to obviously even the title, the life code. How do we do this? And so with you using these two characters, archetypes, aspects of ourselves, of the pure potential that we all is, it's inherent, but then the choice of how to be in relationship with these energies and being very that playing into how things unfold. Now we have this kind of mapping of the potential of life and how we interact with it, known as tarot. So there was something else that you said in the book. I want to say it was speaking to how tarot really shows us that, like it's showing us our potential. It shows us our choice. It shows us how to navigate whatever it is that we encounter in life. So it's very empowering from that lens of how you describe it. So now could you tell us what is the difference in the relationship between the minor arcana and the major arcana? Because most people are familiar with that being part of the system.
Yes, yes. So I'm working from the premise that rather than the world being the most important focus in the deck, in fact, it's the Ten of Pentacles. And the Ten of Pentacles, in my view of tarot, is not just work and money because, and the everyday and the mundane. And I've heard it described in that way so many times, and it's not. Experience is our currency. Experience of life is what we build a rich life with. And the Ten of Pentacles is a life that has been built on the basis of the Ten of Cups, these symbolic representations of what we desire as humans. We want to build a life that's sustainable, that is to the benefit of not just us, but to the people we love, to our clan, maybe to the community. It's a life that has legacy, it has meaning, it has comfort, it has that security, and that's what we aspire to build. And I think that's what Pentacles is all about. It has to be built on cups, because if it's not built on the Ten of Cups, it becomes a bit meaningless. It
Mm.
has to be built on love. Okay. So if we look at if we look at the four suits and we look at them as unpacking the four potentials. So the ace is almost like the symbol of all of the potentials that exist in that energy system. So our emotions, our feelings, our connection, both to spirit and to each other, are all unpacked in the Ace to 10 run, and we are fueled by the desire to be happy, and that's what it's for. We want
Yeah.
to be happy, bottom line.
Right.
That is what fuels every single human being. If not, even if we don't believe in the potential of happiness for us or whatever, we at least don't want to be less happy,
Right.
right? So we'll do anything not to be less happy. We can endure something that we're not vaguely happy about as long as we don't get less happy.
Yeah.
So the idea of happy and the idea of us having a happy life fuels us in everything we do. And it's a debate I've had with many people, and I will stand by it endlessly. So, cups is all about our pursuit of happiness and what fuels us. And then wands and swords are our tools. And again, the ace to 10 run shows us the potential of how we use our will.
Mm.
When we get to the 10, we're overloaded. We've lost the plot, haven't we? But
Yeah.
when we're in the ace, we're inspired. And the same with the suit of swords. It's not it's telling us that there's a problem with the way we're using our mind, the balance between our mind and our intuition and our intuitive sense. There is a problem. It's just trying to tell us. And then Pentacles is the sum of those three suits. They add up to Pentacles. And it's really interesting. And then the majors connect directly into the four suits. So when we look at the high priestess, the lovers, it is giving us the instruction manual on how to bring that potential to life. And it's telling us that this is what's given us the bedrock of our emotional system. This is what's given us the bedrock of our relationship choices and how creative we are in life.
Yeah.
What is within us, within ourselves, our high priestess, which is constantly added to every day of our lives. Our mother, our father, our school system and religion, and our faith, and what our relationship is to that. And then the choices we make, with the choices we commit to, that are going to make us happy or not.
Right.
And the lovers is a commitment based on love. And I just a very quick sidebar that kind of gives a bit of an example of this. I did a little reading for a chap, it was a few years ago now, who came to me to ask if he would pass his lawyer's exam. And I said, I looked at his cards. I said, "Oh, you don't like law very much." And he said, "No, it's fine. I need to do it. I need to pass my." I said, "What? But you have no passion for it." And I said, guidance was the lovers. So I said, "What is going on here? Do you have another choice?" And he said, "No, I have no other choice." I said, "No, what do you love?"
Mm.
And he said, "Well, I wanted to be a concert pianist. I was told I was given a place at the Royal College. I wanted to be a concert pianist, and I could have been a concert pianist, but my father doesn't think that music is a career and wanted me to be a lawyer. And I love my parents, and I don't want to disappoint them."
Wow.
So he made a choice of love. He chose his parents' happiness over his own, and that will stay with him his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. There's the system in operation.
Right. Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry. You are a great storyteller, by the way, Janice. Just like so drawn in to the stories. And it's very interesting again because everything you say keeps playing on this, emphasizing that there really is the word that you use throughout the book, matrix is coming to mind, but that there really is this code There are these
Mm.
codes, and we're in relationship with all of it, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. But we have this beautiful system that will help to illuminate for us, to help us understand or bring our attention to the type of codes we may be interacting with at any given time, and our
Yeah.
choice around that. I think the big emphasis, and again, I love the artwork and the way you depict so many things in the cards. There's a lot of emphasis again on choice. And I think sometimes people are afraid of tarot because they think it is almost like life is happening to you, something's happening only to you, and you're totally helpless. But
Mm.
it's really the opposite, where yeah, something right might be happening, but
Mm.
there is a way of recognizing that we still have choice in how we engage with it all, how we
Yeah.
process it all, how we are perceiving it all. I mean, that's incredible, even the reading that you just described, because I can't even imagine what that would do to someone to finally have that emission, like
Mm.
to even have that moment of being so vulnerable and honest about this is why. That
Yeah.
had to have created some kind of shift in him, even if he still went the path of the attorney. That
Yes.
had to
Yes.
matter.
Yes, and I think what's most important is that we all have clarity on what we're choosing
Right,
and why.
right.
Because, look, I mean, my personal position was, and when I looked down his path a little, he would ultimately come to regret it.
Hmm.
That is not something that he could question now.
Yeah,
Because he truly, truly, in his heart of hearts, believed he was doing the right thing.
right.
And ultimately, when we look down the matrix, when we look at the last section, the guiding principle, we have the lovers choose with commitment, with love. And then we come down to the next one, which is justice. There will be consequences for your choices. You will
Yeah,
be judged, you will judge, and you will have to come to terms with that.
yes.
And then we come to the tower, which is, well, you know what? If the consequences are not of your liking and it doesn't work out, we come to the world, and the world says, well, this is what you've created. This is as good as it gets now. This is the world that you're living in. This is your thing. How do you feel about that? Because then Tarot says, now it makes sense of the fool's journey. Now you can go back to the fool, and now you can look at what potentials are there that you could bring out and bring to life in perhaps and make another pass round. I and I honor everybody who enjoys the fool's journey. I could never make sense of it. It didn't speak to me at all. In fact, it was one of the things that made me, oh, this doesn't, again with the ranting at the spirit world thing. I'm surprised they still want to play ball with me, because I've been such a hard ass with. And I just didn't understand it. And I said, well, what is this spiritual journey to ascension, which is the world, which is, what is that? Is that enlightenment? What is that? So we do all of this stuff, and we suffer, and we go through death, and we go through the tower, and we encounter the devil, and we do all this stuff, and we beat our fears, and then we come to the world, and then we go all the way back, and we do it as the fall. And what, have we forgotten it all? And we have to do it all again? What the hell is this? This is not fun. This doesn't make any sense to me, this story. Why do we work? Because the fool carries no knowledge. So what's it all for then? Now it makes sense. The matrix makes perfect sense of it. And ultimately, we all have to make our own sense of things, right?
Yes.
Um, but the fool's journey, in that way of telling it, I'm a bit nitpicky with stuff. I want it to actually make proper sense in a
Yeah.
way that I can go, okay, I can get behind this. This works for me. It just didn't sit.
That's so funny. Yeah, because part of the reason I fell so in love with the Fool's Journey is because I when I became very interested in tarot, I was like smack dab in the middle of my dark night, yelling, screaming
Mm.
at the universe, like I'm doing all the things. I'm meditating every day. I'm da 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 da. But similar to you, all of this was initiated where I literally was like crying, asking the universe, help me, help
Yeah.
me. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what direction I want to go. So help me at least. Just give me a sign so I know which way to go.
Yeah.
Whoa, the way the dominoes fell to like really, oh, wow, right? But at the time, just like you say, I didn't know that. So I felt like I was being punished when all I was doing was asking for help and it was a nightmare, right? So the
Mm. Yeah.
the major arcana for me, it gave me a mirror of understanding. Like the tower then took on a
Mm.
totally different resonance for me to not be in resistance. There's a potential that this falling apart
Yeah.
is helping me. And so I really fell in love with the cards of them showing me that instead of fighting this and being in resistance, what's the reason behind it? And
Yeah.
will I reach the star? I was like, okay. Good reminder. There is a star in sight. Yeah, so I fell in love with it this way. But the other thing that was so fascinating to me about your work is your, I want to say the visual expression, but also your explanation of the royals. So the court cards, I was like, get out of here. Get out. Could not I could not connect with them for my life. And then finally, I got into a relationship with them like enough to get like, okay, I get what they represent, but they never really sunk in with
Mm.
me. The way that you describe them, and again, the way that you depict them in the deck changes everything. So could you tell us a little bit about your view of the royals, as you call them, and how they play into this story of life?
Yes. Yes. So for me, I see the royals, obviously the royals represent us
Hmm.
and the way that we are using the energy, because that's what this deck is all about, right?
Right.
So this is us as we use them. And they are very much telling us how to approach each stage of the process. So if we find ourselves, for instance, in the 4 and the 5 of one of the suits, then we can call on the knight of that suit who will then power us through, because the knight is on a mission. We need to know what the mission is. The mission is, if it's the Knight of Cups, the mission's the Ten of Cups.
Mm.
If it's the Knight of Wands, the mission is the Six of Wands.
Mhm.
Okay, because the six is the sweet spot in both the wands and swords. That's where we're using the energy in balance and we're using it effectively and doing what it's supposed to do. So when we if we're right at the beginning, say ace, two, and three in any one suit, we evoke the energy of the page. We show up as a page. So we show up curious and future focused. We want to learn. We want to research. We want to find out what's possible,
Yeah.
because this is all energetic potential. So we need to explore the potential. We need to find out what's really going on, what's really possible, how we really feel, what we really want to do, what are the problems. Whatever the page in each suit is guiding you to explore, that's what you need to do. And then as we come up, my personal favorite actually are the queens, because the queens come from 6 to sort of, they kind of hybrid 8. Eight is where they sort of morph into king energy, but certainly 6 and 7 are absolutely ruled by the queens. And the queens say this is where we embody the energy of the suit. This is where we bring it within us and we make the energy part of us to enable the ground for us to therefore change our environment as king energy, because kings are externally focused. We change our environment and queens are internally focused. We bring it to life within us. We cannot manifest or use energy if the ground within us is not okay for that. We
Yeah.
can't plant a seed in the wrong soil.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
each ace is a seed, and the queen is the soil.
Yes. So just so everyone knows, in your deck, quite literally, the aces all have that image of a seed and the growth
Yeah,
coming up
yeah,
around it. I mean, your deck is really brilliant, Janice. I wish, honestly, if I would have started out with tarot with your translation and the imagery, I wouldn't have been in such resistance or frustration to understanding it.
sure.
And I really think with your work, if tarot is new to someone, it really gives, it's clear. It's clear, it makes sense, and you can understand again how it applies to us directly. But
Yeah,
also, as someone who's studied tarot for years, I think anyone, no matter where you are in relationship to it, this gives you such a broader lens and scope that would only enrich your relationship to the translation of tarot. I mean, it's really brilliant. I can't wait to get my deck. So I want to talk about that for a second before we go because I want to make sure that anyone like me, because I went to Amazon, I was like, where is the deck? Um, can we let people know your website and because you can purchase through your site as well. What is it
yes.
that, or what is your website and what is it that we can work with you on? What do you offer?
Yes. So my website is janisking.uk. You can also, because pointed at the same address, is lifecodetarot.com. So either will work.
Yeah.
They both point to the same site. You can buy the deck and the book on the site. And so I have a 101, I call it a retreat day, where we do 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and I take people through the system. And it's a bit of a whistle stop tour, but it's actually incredibly, to be honest with you, the way we can describe it, when people have gone through the day, it's like, oh, whoa, okay, I get it, because it makes such logical sense.
Hmm.
So it doesn't require you to do a lot of memorization. That's not what this is about. And I don't think tarot should be taught by memorizing individual cards, because it
Right.
doesn't make sense really within the system. It's like you got overwhelmed and it doesn't quite gel. So I have the 101 retreat day. I have a mentorship course as well. So it's 12 months mentorship to mastery, which is a professional course, which trains you to be a professional. But to be honest with you, there are two people at the moment who are doing the course just because of the system
Oh,
as a self-development course. So it takes you through an entire energetic personal reset. It's very powerful.
yeah, it's interesting you say that because I think that's a thing that also people may not be aware of in terms of tarot is that it really there's so much self work
Mm.
involved, potentially the way that it can help us understand ourselves, understand our lives, understand the way that we are functioning and why and how and all of these things. I can't believe the hour is almost up. So I wanted to ask you as well, Janice, if you, for anyone listening, when you were creating this way of working with tarot and using the imagery that you used in the deck, and just for everyone listening, again, the links will be below, but it's called Tarot, the Life Code, a Fool, a Magician, and the Secret of Life. And the deck is the Life Code Tarot. What did you have in mind that you would hope that we could potentially get from working with your deck and working with the tarot?
Yeah, I wanted the deck to quite literally communicate how I felt the cards showed up for me in readings.
Mm,
So when I read for clients, the cards, when the cards appear, they sort of speak to you, right? So what I want to do is communicate that. So rather than just go on the trope of this card means this and this card means this, I really wanted to bring that to life pictorially, so it was more immediate, if you like, and not so hidden in allegory, that's the word, allegory, and kind of mysticism. I wanted to demystify it so that
Yeah.
it became something we could instantly go, oh, I get that. The Queen of Cups is sitting there and she's meditating and she's tuning into herself. The King of Wands is a rock star. I wanted to bring the whole deck to life in a way that made sense in the real world.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting you say that. It brings to mind again your depiction of the fool, where he doesn't have this knapsack that's full of whatever, but literally this burst of all the color, all the potential, really being what's emanating, glowing. It is what he is. It's the essence of who the fool is. And I have to say that too. What I really love about the deck, we can kind of see behind you, the suits
Yes.
behind, yes. But I love the color scheme, the way that you did that. And I was very curious about the feel or, what it is you wanted us to connect to and the way that you depicted these cards. Because even in the majors, with it being kind of shadowy, but these bursts of
Mm.
color or your attention drawn into what is that card? I think the moon, where everything is so dark and shadowy, but those eyes of the wolf are so deep red.
Mm.
Or yeah, what were you trying to get us to
Yes,
feel?
yes, to have an emotional connection with the card.
Yeah. Oh
I
well, it
mean
worked.
that's yeah, no, well, yes, and that's the point. The point
Yeah.
is that you look at the card and have an emotional response to it,
Hmm.
and not have to try and figure it out in your head.
Right.
Yeah. So when we have an emotional response, that's our connective power kicking in.
Yes.
And that's why the deck reads so powerfully, because of that emotional response, hopefully that we have. And I think it's, one of the radical reworkings was the Six of Pentacles, which is normally shown with the merchant with the scales and the two beggars. And I completely reworked it into the boy and the dog. And the boy is standing there with the biscuit, and the dog is sat there looking up at the boy. And it's a hierarchical relationship where one person has what the other one wants, and they
Yeah.
always want a little bit more. And it's never going to be given,
Yeah.
because the boy is never going to make the dog an equal partner. He's just not.
Right.
He does love the dog, yeah. He does care. It's not like he doesn't care. And the boy loves the dog loves the boy. But we've got this balance of power between the two of them, and it's amazing how many relationship readings I do where I just hold up the card and the person on the other end of the reading goes, "Oh God, that's us." And it just brings it to life,
Yeah.
breadcrumbing and somebody always having to be the one that says how much and when. That real life balance of power. I wanted to show that so that you feel it when you look at it.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you too, with that, a lot of people wonder about how to read in terms of, do I just do one pull? Do I do three cards, spreads? And in your book, there are different depictions of different spreads and layouts. Just wanted
Mm.
to know if you could share that, like how you think spreads and I guess the intention of what story we're laying out, how that
Yeah.
can be helpful in the telling of the story itself.
Yes. So, I mean, for me, the question is king. And I think the trouble is that the mistake a lot of perhaps beginning readers make is they have a question which is sort of like, should we just ask the perennial question, will he come back? Right? It's the big evergreen question. We've all asked it. There's no shame in it. We've all asked the question, will he come back? And so then we lay out like 5 cards and we go, and we try and look at the cards and we try and make sense of them. And it doesn't make sense. So what I would suggest to people is try not to ask closed questions. So, will he? Don't ask yes no questions. You're making it so hard for yourself. Tarot hates yes no questions. It's chatty, like me. It likes to contribute. So, ask a question that allows tarot to contribute some information, and then take one card and stay with your question. Don't put all your attention in the cards. Stay with your question. Focus on the question. Allow the question to be king. And then ask yourself, how is the card responding to my question? Because what happens is people go into the card and suddenly the question's gone out the window.
Yes.
It's like I'm looking at all the symbolism on the card and I'm trying to figure it out. And it's like, oh my God, what is the card saying? What is the card saying? Think of your question. What did you ask?
Right.
Be very, very specific. And the clearer you can make it, ask good questions, get good answers. The clearer you can make your question, and the least amount of information you can demand of tarot, the clearer your answer will be. And I always say to people, if you genuinely don't understand the card, leave it on the table and just talk to your talk. Just say, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm in the weeds. Could you please give me another card to help me understand what it is you're saying? Take one more card. And see if you can get some context from that. If you can't, leave it.
Yeah.
Walk away, leave them on the table, walk away, do some other things, glance at them every so often, and you'll probably find that over the course of a couple of hours, you'll go, oh yeah. And it will come to you. Don't draw loads of cards. Don't take 10 cards or 5. Don't do that, because you just crowd your head with noise.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Well, I have to tell you, Janice, again, before we even recorded, I told you I was so excited by the beauty of your work. I really love the book. So just so everyone is clear, there is a book, The Life Code, as a book, but also there is a deck. When is the book going to be released? It's coming soon.
Yes. The book is available for pre-order now, so you
Yes.
can get it from Amazon now. It's actually released on the 25th of November, so just in time for Christmas. Hurrah! And Amazon is king at the moment. So pre-order on Amazon, and it will wend its way to you. But that's where you get it. After the release date, it will also be for sale on my website. But for now, the mighty Amazon is your way in.
Well, I would say, I had the opportunity to read the book. I didn't have the deck, and the book itself was incredible. It really was just incredible on its own. And then, something told me, look up this deck. And so I found videos of people opening the boxes. I was like, I need this deck. So I just want everyone to know, if you do have a hard time finding the deck on Amazon, you can get the deck itself directly through Janis's site. But definitely this book, I would recommend to, no matter where you are in tarot, new, never touched it, or seasoned and worked with it for years. It's beautiful, the system that you've really created around this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just also say that the deck is independently produced, which is, so it's not supported by a publisher, and so Amazon tends to bury it a little bit, unfortunately. But can I just ask everybody to please be aware that there are faked copies out on the internet.
Yes.
They are considerably cheaper. They are really flimsy. Some of them are really small. They don't have a booklet with them. and I'm constantly hunting down PDF versions of the booklet online where people say you can get with a QR code. These are faked, pirated versions. Please don't support them.
Right.
It kills us completely. So I know it's pretty hard. Sometimes Amazon doesn't, even if you search for it, Amazon sort of buries it, but you can find it on my website. So
Yes.
please come get it from me. I am the creator and you won't regret it. It's a beautiful deck. It's really top quality. There's a lot of love and everything gone into it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you say that, Janice. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know, but I've spoken to a lot of creators, even my deck too. I only sell it through my site because there are so many people that make counterfeit copies of these decks that people oftentimes, like you say, there's no publisher. Like we paid for this. And, a
Do yeah.
lot of love goes into the creation of these works. And it's heartbreaking to see that there are fake copies out there and people don't know when they're buying them. So definitely get the deck itself, the Life Code Tarot, through Janis King's website, janisking.uk. I'll put the links to connect with all of Janis's work below. You can pre-order the book on Amazon. That we can do, and I'll put the link
Yeah.
for that as well. I have to say it has been such a pleasure meeting you today, and I'm really thankful to have come across your work.
Oh, and it's been delightful to talk to you. Such a fascinating conversation. And thank you so much for being so generous about, the book and the deck. And I'm so happy that it connected with you.
Yes.
It's just been a joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And everyone, don't forget, connect with Janis when we're done with this conversation, and we will see you all very soon.
Thank you.
Hello, beautiful alchemist. I want to thank Janis again for such a beautiful conversation. And I am very thankful to have come across her work because, as you can see, I truly enjoyed her book and I'm very much looking forward to getting her deck. I'm excited to read with these cards. You can get your own copy of the book and the deck at janisking.uk. She spells Janis Janis. So janisking.uk. Also, don't forget, if you want to join me for an entire year of direct work and mentoring with energetic alchemy, meeting with me twice a week for classes and guided exercises, be sure to activate your membership in the Alchemy Circle and do that by November 5th so you can join me for intuitive mastery as well. And if you go to my website, theenergeticalchemist.com, be sure to get your ticket for the masterclass weekend. Remember, it's only $44. You get access to the entire weekend, which is 9 classes. You can join live or access the recordings. And we also have the Reiki Rays Global Healing Summit that you can now get your early bird ticket for. All of that is on the home page of my website, theenergeticalchemist.com. And while you are there, be sure to register for the newsletter if you haven't already, so that you don't miss out on any upcoming events, including any future free community gatherings where you can come practice with me free of charge. So I look forward to connecting with you, working with you. I look forward to hearing what you think about this episode with Janis. I hope that you all have a gorgeous week and remember to always journey in love.